back to Letters and Late Talks, the podcast where we read letters and stories sent by listeners. I am Chinea.
And I am Jam, and this is your favorite late night tambayan podcast, where stories become conversations. So, whether gumagawa ka ng assignment, nasa biyahe, or nakahiga lang habang ino-overthink ang buhay, thank you for spending your time with us. Today's episode is inspired by the short story Even Purple Hearts by Bienvenido and Santos.
And honestly, this story hurts quietly. Hindi siya yung super dramatic agad. Pero habang tumatagal, parang unti-unti kang sinasampal emotionally.
True, it talks about war, emotional wounds, loneliness, sacrifice, and how some people continue to live kahit pagod na sila.
And bago tayo magsimula, quick reminder lang na minsan the strongest looking people, sila yung pinakatahimik na nahihirapan.
Exactly. So let's begin with today's letter. So I'll be the one to read the letter from our story center. Dear Letters and Late Talks, I recently read Even Purple Hearts, and the story stayed in my mind even after I finished reading it. At first, I thought it was a simple story about wars and soldiers. But later, I realized it was really about emotional pain and silent struggles. The story follows a Filipino soldier who experienced war and received recognition for his bravery. People saw him as strong and heroic, but deep inside, he was still carrying painful memories and emotional wounds. It made me realize that surviving something difficult does not always mean healing from it. What affected me most was how the story showed that some pain cannot easily be seen. There are a lot of people who looks okay outside, but emotionally, they are tired. Sometimes, society praises people for being strong but forgets to ask if they are okay. While reading, I remembered students who pressure themselves every day, parents who silently sacrifice for their families, and friends who hide their problems behind jokes. Yung tipong class clown, pero internally one breakdown away ka lang. The story reminded me that everyone may be fighting battles we know nothing about. I think that's why even Purple Hearts feels powerful and realistic. It teaches us to become more understanding and kinder toward others because emotional wounds are real too. Thank you for reading my letter. From a listener learning that silent pain deserves understanding.
Grabe! Survival and healing are different things. That line alone summarized the story so well. Exactly. Some experiences stay with people for years. Kahit gusto mo nang mag-move on, may mga memories talagang bumabalik.
And honestly, I think many people can relate to this story even though they haven't experienced the war personally.
Because emotional struggles happen everywhere. Different situations, same feeling.
Parang iba-iba tayo ng battlefield.
Ay, wow! May pa-quote pa talaga si Jom today.
Siyempre, free wisdom every episode tayo dito. For those who haven't read, Even Purple Hearts, pag-usapan muna natin yung story itself.
So, the story centered of a Filipino soldiers whose life has deeply affected by war. During wartime, soldiers were expected to stay brave and strong no matter what happened around them.
Yeah, and because of war, there are a lot of soldiers who experience fear, violence, and the loss of someone that they love, even emotional trauma.
The main character received recognition connected to bravery and sacrifice. The Purple Heart symbolized soldiers wounded during service.
But the painful part is that even though the physical wounds are not there anymore, they are still carrying the emotional pain.
Exactly. The story show how people change completely. Yes.
And napansin ko rin, parang disconnected siya from people around him. Like physically, present siya, pero mentally stuck pa rin sa past.
And even the character of Grace, we didn't think that she's also carrying emotional pain since after the war, her fiance is nowhere to be found.
And it actually felt destiny had found its way for them to meet, for them to have someone to lean on.
That's actually realistic. Trauma can make people feel isolated because they think nobody truly understands them.
And society usually sees soldiers as heroes, brave, fearless, and strong.
Pero nakakalimutan nilang minsan na heroes are human too.
They feel fear, loneliness, regret, and emotional pain like everyone else.
Another important point in the story is that recognition and awards cannot fully heal emotional suffering.
Exactly. A medal cannot erase painful memories.
Kahit gaano kaganda tignan, yung achievement outside, hindi ibig sabihin okay na talaga yung tao emotionally.
Kaya ang symbolic ng title na Even Purple Hearts. Since it's not just about military award, it becomes a symbol, a hidden emotional wounds too. And honestly, while I was reading the story, I was thinking about on how many people are really struggling silently.
Especially students.
Actually, yes, people see grades and achievements, but yung process, yung puyat, pressure, and the self-doubt, even yung breakdowns behind them.
The fear of disappointing their family.
You know what? That's true. Some students feels like they have to prove something.
And kapag napagod sila, tuloy pa rin sila kasi feeling nila stopping means failing.
Which makes the story relatable outside the context of war.
Because emotional exhaustion is universal.
I also think social media adds pressure nowadays.
Ay, sobra.
People online usually post their achievements, vacations, pretty pictures, and the happy moments.
Meanwhile, bihira mong makita yung anxiety, stress, or breakdown behind that camera.
So some people start comparing their real struggles sa highlight reels ng TikTok.
Which is honestly unhealthy sometimes.
Tapos, dun ka na magkakaroon ng thought na mapapaisip ka talaga na, wait, bakit parang lahat successful except me?
Hindi mo naman nakikita yung crying at 2 a.m. version nila.
Exactly. Hindi naman nakamay yung breakdown.
Unless they are really dramatic.
POV, character development, di ba?
Huy, but that's true.
And it connects to the story again. The soldier youth, strong outside, but he was really hurting.
Which is honestly common today. Some people are smiling publicly while privately struggling emotionally.
Actually, I have a question here. Have you ever experienced pretending everything was okay even though it's not?
Honestly, yes. Especially during stressful school periods. Minsan tumatawa ka pa with friends pero mentally, ubus ka na.
Same, there are days that you have to continue functioning since you have responsibilities to fulfill.
And sometimes, people don't notice because isanay ka ng itago.
Which ang sakit naman nun, nasanay ka ng itago.
Kasi totoo naman, some people became too good at hiding their pain.
Well, I think most of the people automatically just say, I'm okay, even though they're not.
Because they don't want to burden others.
Or they are just afraid that no one would understand them.
You know what I realize? People misunderstand strength sometimes.
How?
People think being strong means never crying or never getting tired.
You know what? That's actually true.
Pero real strength can also mean continuing despite emotional pain.
Or asking for help when needed.
Exactly. Kasi being honest about your feelings takes courage too.
And I think stories like even Purple Hearts reminds us that vulnerability is human. Pero can we really appreciate Filipino literature for emotionally attacking readers?
True, nagbabasa ka lang for assignment tapos biglang mapapareflect ka sa buong buhay mo.
Totoo, like, Sir, homework po ba ito or therapy session?
Exactly.
Filipino writers really know how to make stories feel personal without being OA.
Because pain feels realistic.
Yung hindi mo na kailangan ng sigawan para maging emotional yung story.
Sometimes the softest line hurts the most.
You know, one thing that I learned from the story is that emotional scars sometimes stay longer than the physical ones.
Yes, physical wounds heal visible, but emotional wounds can stay hidden for years.
Yeah. And because invisible sila, people sometimes just ignore them.
Kaya sobrang important ng kindness.
Because honestly, hindi na rin alam kung ano yung dinadala ng tao internally.
A person can look successful but still feel lonely.
A person can smile but still feel emotionally exhausted.
And the person can survive painful experience while still trying to heal from that.
Yeah, healing is not always instant.
Sometimes healing is just waking up every day and trying again.
To everyone listening right now, we hope you remember that resting emotionally is important too.
And if someone around you suddenly becomes quiet or distant, maybe try checking on them gently.
Sometimes people don't need solutions agad. Minsan they just need someone who's willing to listen.
Exactly. Feeling understood already helps a lot.
And if ikaw naman yung nahihirapan silently, sana maalala mo rin na hindi mo kailangang dalhin lahat mag-isa.
Yes.
So overall, even Purple Hearts teaches us that bravery is not just about surviving difficult situations.
It's also about carrying pain and continuing to live despite it.
And the story reminds us that emotional wounds are real, even if people cannot see them physically.
So let's try to be kinder, more patient, and more understanding towards others. And that's the wrap of today's episode of Letters and Late Talks.
Thank you so much for listening and spending your time with us tonight.
And if you have stories, letters, compassion, or realization you want us to talk about next time, send them to us.
Take care of yourselves, everyone.
And remember, even strong people need comfort too.
At minsan, okay lang umabot.
Bye everyone!